Hi, welcome to Drama Means. Today we're going to talk about the 2024 Korean BL drama, Love for Love's Sake. Today, drama means newfound friends, drama means second chances, and drama means extending a lifeline.
So a little bit of a summary. The show revolves around a young man named Tae Myung-ha who finds himself in a video game based off of his friend's novel. Now his objective in the video game is to make Cha Yo-woon, a character that he most related with from the novel, he's going to try to make him happy. Although it is not easy, Myung-ha earns Yo-woo's friendship and more, but at what cost to him personally? Well, to start off talking about this one, I didn't actually see this drama. So I can only really comment on the little bit I do know about it and the basic structure and the stuff that you kind of liked and disliked, but I didn't actually sit down to watch this one.
Yeah, so I started this drama not really having much expectation. It's kind of hard because there's been like such a roller coaster of quality.
We're talking about BL in general, Korean BL in general, or are we talking like, when you say a roller coaster of quality in this genre or...
So in this genre in particular, it's very, it's a hit or miss sometimes. So when people start, announcing that a certain BL is going to air soon, it's just kind of try to keep your expectations low. And then when it's good, you're like pleasantly surprised. And then when it's bad, you're not too hurt by it.
Because BL is still a pretty niche market. I would, if I could call it a market, but like it's not as mainstream as some of the other genres of drama.
Yeah, there is actually a Korean drama that's going to be coming out soon. And it's actually based off of a BL web novel or web comic. And it's actually really popular, but they decided to change. It's not a BL anymore.
Right, the main couple is heteronormative, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, or they just don't have, or maybe they'll say it's like bromance, or they're just friends kind of thing. And they completely, changed that aspect of the drama. Basically, their reasoning is that BLs are not popular enough for them to make money off of. And they wouldn't reach, enough people to keep it as a BL.
But why use that source material?
Exactly.
That's, not to go off on a tangent and talk about that instead of this show, but why pull a source material? Because you're only pulling the source material because it's popular.
Yeah.
Like, people have heard it, people have read it. So then you're looking for brand recognition. Except for you're like, well, here's the brand you all loved, but there's not enough of you to really love it, so we're just going to change it.
Yeah. And basically they're just like, oh, we're going to make it as mainstream as possible.
And it's like watering down the Kool-Aid a little bit, okay?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to BLs, you can tell they won't have as big of a budget as your, prime time. I don't even know if there's really prime time anymore, but...
You're talking about your mainstream, your box office, your blockbuster, your whatever, your A-list celebs vehicle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right?
When I look at this drama, the beginning felt like an indie drama. That first scene where he's sitting in the bar and he's a little drunk and he's, talking about his seniors or upperclassmen, whatever you want to call them, his novel, and he's read it and he's kind of complaining about how it's just your general boy-girl romance with a happy ending, and he's a little not happy with it, right? And he's like, I'm more concerned about the people who get left behind. And I like the message, but as for the scene goes, it just seems very indie. But it just seems kind of like a generic indie for indie's sake.
Right, when you don't have enough lights to bring to set and you just kind of throw up what you can and then you call it dogmatic filmmaking. That's what a lot of the indie films like to do, is go, oh, well, we're doing a very dogmatic approach. And you're like, you mean you don't have money for lighting or sound or basically anything, and you're shooting this all in your apartment? Okay, we get it, dogmatic.
Yeah. But after that scene, though, as it goes into a high school setting and he's now a 19-year-old in this video game. Like, it looks like your normal web drama.
Do you think they did it on purpose to try to show a difference? I mean, obviously you want to show the difference between being in this video game and being in real life. Usually they use color filters or a lighting effect or, something that just really demonstrates, oh, we're here and then we're there. Same thing with flashbacks. So, they'll put a little fuzz on it or they'll put a vignette around the edges. Do you think they did it on purpose?
So in his reality, the lighting is a lot darker. And later, as you find out, like, a little bit more about his background as a whole, it's kind of dark, which I like. I kind of like the contrast of, like, a video game and, reality, and the reality portion being darker, which makes sense.
Although it is a little risky trying to show that up front, being that that's, like, the less production value.
Yeah.
Like, grab the audience, you're going to give me the kind of indie film, hey, we didn't spend any money on this show look, and then you're going to get into like, oh, actually, wait, we did. It's okay. It's a full production. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like, if you turn on the first scene and you're like, never mind.
So in the beginning, when you realize that, oh, he's actually in the video game, you kind of wonder like, oh, how did he get into the video game? It just feels a little like off-putting. Is this a dream because he got drunk because he was at a bar? Like, is he actually in reality playing the actual video game? Like, how did this happen? And it never really explains it. They kind of shine a light on it a little bit at the end where, like, you see him in reality and he, like, wished upon a star. And it just kind of felt like they're forcing the video game portion in it, like, a little too much. And the thing was, I'm going to compare this to another Korean BL, which is Our Dating Sim, where it literally has this, like, video game aspect to it, but the two male leads are creating the video game.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so then
it's part of the storyline, not only part of the conceit of the show.
So the thing is, they're not actually in the video game. They're living their lives and they're creating this video game together, but then after the credits, the cutscene at the end is them, like, you're seeing, like, the options of, like, a dating simulation game. Right. So it works with the plot of the dating sim.
It feels organic to what you're seeing.
Yeah. So this one, it just feels a little awkward and weird, and you're like, how did he get in there? Like, there's just these kind of questions that, like, don't really get answered in a satisfying way.
I'm wondering why they chose to add the video game element, because I feel like we've seen shows and movies where someone gets dropped into a book or a novel or a movie. I mean, my favorite, Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger, horrible movie. But, like, the kid gets dropped into the movie. Why do you think they added the video game element to this and not just had him be dropped into the book?
I think that they like that aspect of, like, randomly you'll see, like, his vision and it's like a screen and then, like, a mission will pop up. Basically in the beginning it's like, where is he? Like, he has to go find him, right? And then it's like, it has this, like, I forgot what it's called, like, love transparency or love frequency. It's something like meter. And it basically is like, he's however millimeters or no, kilometers?
Kilometers. Meters, kilometers.
Yeah, like however many meters.
He's 4 millimeters away from you. Where?
American don't really understand the kilometers thing. So it has this thing where it's like however many miles he is away.
Just go with miles.
Anyway, and then, like, as the drama keeps going and things will, like, pop up, it's like, oh, his likes you however many percentage, or, like, your mission, like, a new side mission comes up and you have to, like, make him friends, and then, like, just, like, all these different things. And I think that it's just used as a plot device.
Right. That's what my concern is. It feels like a way to get around having to develop real drive and real goals and have a character kind of figure out anything. The character gets told a lot. Like, hey, by the way, you're supposed to make this dude happy, and he's over there. Or, hey, you're supposed to do this now, and oh, here's your objective, without having the character kind of earn those things.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit crutchy in the description of this, where the book part feels organic, right? He's giving his friend thoughts on the book, and then he ends up in the book. But the video game part feels a little left field.
The thing with this is that it's considered a web drama, which is only 8 episodes, and it has a 30-minute duration per episode.
Okay.
So it's short, and so I think that is a way to get around the fact that they feel like they can't give you a complete story in such a short time. I don't know, because movies do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't really argue.
Also, like, I know we've maybe seen it before, but if he's in a book, I just wonder why they went both directions. Because to me, it's either his friend made a video game, and you're critiquing your video game, and then you end up in the video game. Okay? I'm with you. Or your friend makes a book, and you're critiquing the book, and you end up in the book. And all the stuff the video game does for you, you do it with like a narrator. And so he can hear a narrator in his head, and he's like, wait, who's there? Why are you narrating my moves? You know, I know we've seen that before in other movies and shows and stuff, but then that's at least consistent with book, or like footnotes keep popping up, and he's like, wait, what are these footnotes? At least that's all consistent with, I don't know, it weirds me out a little bit that they did both.
I have to say I did enjoy it. Just that I don't know how much of it is that I enjoyed it as the drama, or I just enjoyed it because the acting was good. And I feel like a lot of times the acting, if there's good acting, it can cover up a bad story premise, drama.
Execution.
Yeah. So I found myself like, I believe it was a Friday show. I can't remember now, but I remember like getting up every day. Like that was what I looked forward to, and I would do that before I would do anything else. So I enjoyed it, but I just don't know, like looking back now, like did I really enjoy the story, or did I just enjoy the acting? And I'm starting to believe that I enjoyed the acting and I enjoyed their chemistry, but I don't know how much of it that I really enjoyed their story.
That makes sense, though, especially in something that's so based in forging the relationship. I do feel like you forgive a lot if it stops making sense. I mean, if it gets too bad, I think no acting can save a bad script. But I do think acting can save kind of a mediocre script by really leaning into the chemistry. And again, when you have a show that the whole point is the chemistry between the two people, then a lot of it can be made up within the, not so much the words they're saying, but how they're saying them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I do have to say, like, towards the end, I just don't know. There are, like, questions I'm like, wait, so does that mean he's now made, someone in the ether has made this video game / novel a reality for him, and that is just his reality now, and he gets to relive his reality as a 19-year-old, and he gets to like slowly live his life again, or he's just in this video game and forever in this video game, and he's just stuck living a video game life. And like that part never gets answered. Because even till the end, like those video game prompts still come up. So it makes you think like, oh, he's just now forever in a video game. Happily ever after? Like...
That part's a little weird.
Yeah. It's like, I want him to have a reality. Like, I do want a happy ending. I like their happiness together. At one point, he gets pulled out of the video game, and there is a flashback of his own life, and you realize that throughout this whole video game, it wasn't meant for him to make Yoon happy, but it was for himself to find happiness.
Right. So it was really about changing his own life and his own situation versus helping a stranger.
Yeah, and his mentality towards like what his future can be or what life can be.
Wait, so that part I'm a little confused by. So he's learned this lesson or he's used the video game to learn a self-reflecting lesson, but then he ends up with the guy at the end and they're together in the video game?
Yeah, pretty much. Along with his newfound friends. And
so the old life that he learned the lesson for isn't really there anymore.
Yeah. He just gets to live this life where he has his boyfriend. He has two besties. Well, I don't know if they're really his besties, but they're like close friends. You know, they go romp at the beach, and then he has like his relationship with his grandma again, and he's just living his life inside this video game because they never showed him leave it, and they continued with all the video game prompts. So now he's just a digital essence.
Is the person that wrote the novel a wizard? Like, is he writing this novel in order to free his friend from his shitty life?
Well, that's what they're trying to make it seem, whereas like this senior of his from college, he wrote this novel show him that he can have happiness, and will he choose happiness, or will he still choose to end things. Thing is, he literally asks him, who are you? And that question never gets answered.
The guy from in the novel asks the main character, wait, who are you?
No.
I'm confused if we were talking about.
So Myung asks his senior, the one that wrote the novel, who are you really? And that question never gets answered.
But it's posed that maybe he's not just a normal friend.
Yeah.
He's a wizard. He's God.
He's that star that he wished upon. This is why I'm like, in the moment as I was watching it, I was like, I really like this drama. And then now that, I'm thinking about it, and like, I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of things wrong with the story itself. The coupling, perfect. They're great. I really like the chemistry. I like the acting. The emotions feel real. It's cute when it needs to be. It's emotional when it needs to be. It's good in terms of acting, and the casting is great. As a story, as a drama, as a whole, it's just got lots of holes.
I mean, I appreciate the metaphor of you kind of carving out your own life for yourself. Like, the idea that, well, it took him to kind of experience this whole life outside of his normal, mundane day-to-day to kind of wake up to his own reality. But when it stops becoming a metaphor and it just is straight up like, hey, let me whisk you off to Magic Land so you can have a magic life, I'm start like, wait, that's a choice? That's a real reality in this world, is that a wizard can come and go, hey, poof, you're going to go to this book now, and that's where you're going to spend your days.
Yeah, so as inspiration for, like, us, like, the real audience and the real life, it just is like, oh, well, when things suck, you need a different life, because your life sucks.
Oh, man, you know what this is?
What?
This is a propaganda piece for big AI. Or virtual reality. Less AI and virtual reality. Like, big virtual reality was like, listen, we need to convince people that they need to be living in a video game. So let's make a small Korean BL. And we'll convince the viewers that, hey, if your life sucks, just put on a VR headset and go find new friends. Conspiracy, folks. You heard it here first.
So it felt like they took like a good message and didn't execute it well.
As you were describing it, it made me think of Shining for One Thing, with the kind of metaphorical leaving this world and going to another world and finding the person that you want to save and saving them. But ultimately it's about the process of grief, and then eventually you have to re-enter your own atmosphere and go back to your own life. But at least now you've got to process that real grief you experienced. And like, I totally got the metaphor of that because they re-entered their own lives.
Yeah.
And she got to go back to her life and go, okay, now that I had my summer and I had that relationship that I never had the courage to do, now I'm okay. And now I can move on. It's very similar to, what's the Netflix, the Russian Doll. Like Russian Doll is kind of the metaphor of repeating the same mistakes over and over and over with the same result until you kind of wake up to your own reality so you can live your life. It's not just Groundhog Day for Groundhog Day sense, you know?
Yeah. So I will talk about some of the things that I did really like besides the acting and the chemistry, but there are certain moments in it that was very cute. And it's perfect for this type of drama where, Yowoon is like really jealous of people, but like in such a like not like toxic way, because we see so many like dramas where like they just go so overboard with jealousy, how like people overreact and they just yell and scream and just like super toxic. I hate that. But he's like jealous and he won't, I think it was a signature or take a picture with one of his fans, because his fans so happens to be like a classmate. She started like working this part-time job with Myung-ha, and she wanted to meet Yowoon because she's a fan of Yowoon's. And so when Myung-ha brings her to like a dinner with Yowoon's very like, who are you? I'm not gonna give you a signature, or I'm not gonna take a selfie with you until I know that you're not a threat to me. And that it's just like really cute, but not like bad. So his like little rivalry with Sungwon, and it's not like they're not fighting, they're not screaming at each other, but they're doing like those little things like, haha, Myung-ha likes me, not you.
A little bit friendly rivalry.
Yeah, because like ultimately they're still friends, even though they started out as enemies. I also like that. Like I like the enemy to friends thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like enemies to lovers, but I do like that the turn of like, them hating each other to, they can actually be friends.
I think there's something very natural about that progression, that why we all like it so much. I've never met someone that, I mean, maybe I have, that just hates like enemies to friends or enemies to lovers. I agree. I don't think it needs to go all the way there to lovers, but it is nice when you have adversaries or rivals that come to respect each other and then can kind of join up or team up in a productive way. I think the journey of that is so vast. I think that's why it's attractive to me. It's a really big character arc when someone can really come to terms with that, and also speaks to the character of both people, that they can put differences aside and both go, we used to kind of despise each other and now you're okay. Like that's almost enough for me.
There's been a lot of dramas that have that aspect of like, rivals to friends or rivals to ally. And they don't necessarily have to be friends, but they will like look out for each other or work together when they need to. So I always enjoy those. I like that, people can be civil with each other even if they don't like each other. So there's something that kind of bothered me, and I don't really understand why they put it in there other than like creating this tension that was very unnecessary, where at one point he has to choose between Yowoon and his grandma. It did nothing for the story really, other than the fact that like it made it so, because he can't choose between either of them, it made it so he loses that time. So rather than like having, I don't know, like 89 days or whatever left, he gets 10 days left. Like just to like make the drama shorter, and they don't have to spend like more time of, him trying to make Yowoon happy. Other than that, I really didn't see why they needed to put that as a thing. Like what did it do for his character? What did it do for the plot to make it like, oh, he has to choose between his own grandma and Yowoon?
This is his video game grandma?
Yeah. It's his real grandma. She was put in this video game.
So grandma went in the video game with him.
Well, the thing is, no, because in reality, grandma had already passed away.
Okay, so in reality, his grandma has passed away, and he goes into a video game
that has these other book characters in it, but the grandma's also there. Dead grandma's like, hey, I'm in the book too. And then he's like, oh my god, my grandma's here. And then they give him a choice whether or not he has true love or he gets grandma.
Yeah.
That does feel a little strange.
But it's like, why? But what did it do other than, like, you know, like, oh, it creates an obstacle that's, like, not necessary. And then it really didn't do anything for him. And other than, like, oh, for his punishment for not choosing either, he basically was like, if you don't choose, one of them's gonna die. Or you have to choose one and the other dies, basically, right? And then if you don't choose, you die. So it's just like, okay.
So can I ask a refrigerator logic question then? If grandma isn't real because my real grandmother died, and this representation of my grandmother is in a book, because I know I'm in a book, and I know I'm in a video game book, who cares if grandma dies?
Well, here's the thing. I think what this drama is mistaking is that they want every aspect of it, right? So they want you to think that he's in a video game, right? But he's also, like, traveled back in time, right?
Because he's younger.
He's younger. But then also, like, as if he's just, like, living in an alternate reality where his grandma never had passed away. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it feels like it's trying to have too many cakes here.
Yeah. And it's just like they couldn't decide what it really was, if it's a time travel story or if it's a transmigration story or it's just a video game. Like, it's just not...
Right, because if he would have gone into a novel, like if it was a novel written by a friend, why is the friend writing about his high school days? Like, you know what I mean? So this friend chose to write about his friend's high school days and include his grandmother in the story, but then also with a bunch of fictitious characters this person's never met. So that doesn't feel like a book. Like, it does feel to me like you want to grab the writer of this and just go, tell me what this is. Is it a video game? Is it a book? Is it the past? Is it an alternate universe? Is it a parallel universe? Like, what is it? Because it feels like you want to play by all the rules.
Yes. It's like all the rules with no real consequences.
Yeah, that kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah. So I, again, it's like the writing is just falling apart in this. And so I
mean, the real problem I have with it is that now I have no longer understand what the stakes to any of it are. Because I think fundamentally what keeps popping in my head is any of this real?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer me in one way, then the answer is no, none of it's real. If it's a video game time travel novel that I'm living in, well, that doesn't exist, so that can't be real. So everything he's experiencing, he's drunk at the bar. That's the reality. That's the only thing that could explain all of these aspects. So that means that nothing in the show's real, which means there's no stakes and no drama and there's no reason to watch anymore.
Yeah. As we're unraveling everything, like, I have a hard time to admit that, like, it's not good. It's not that good because I enjoyed watching it.
I mean, we're all allowed to like crap. I mean, listen, there was a decade in the 1990s before most of the people listening to this were born where we watched crap action movies, and that's just what we did. And the actors weren't good. Like, no one ever has claimed that Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal could act, but they were major movie stars. They got to go to the Oscars. So it's okay. Sometimes you like crap.
Yeah, okay, well.
And maybe this isn't even crap, but maybe it's not as strong. It sounds like it has a premise problem.
It does. When he gets pulled out of the game, then he gets put back into the game. He goes to, like, what they're trying to hint at is that he went further in time.
In the game, he skipped a chunk of time.
Yeah. So when they're like, he's like calling the guy, and the guy, like, had just remembered who he was because, like, after he got pulled out of the game, that guy, Yo-Woon, Yo-Woon, like, couldn't remember him, and no one else, you know, around him, like, remembered who Myung-ha was.
It was like he didn't exist.
Yeah. So then, when he gets put back in, he calls Yowoon, and, like, Yowoon's like, I've been looking for you all over the place. And then Myung-ha's like, where are you? And then they go to the same location, but they're not there. They don't see each other because one, is at August 12th and one is August 15th or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how do they ever meet again?
Because he's heading over. He's like, he tells Yowoon basically, like, remember on August 15th, make sure you have to go to your running, like, the track meet or whatever, the competition. And then stay there and wait for me. I'm going to go over there. And then he starts running, right? But then randomly they're running and then they go to the beach. They meet at the beach instead of the competition, like the race. I don't know. So anyway, whatever, they meet up and then it's a happy ending and then they frolic at the beach with their two friends. But yeah.
That's not how time works. that's just not how time. If I'm ahead of you in time, I will always be ahead of you in time because I'm also experiencing time. Like, we could count together 1, 1,000, 2, 1,003. We're both counting. So if I'm 3 days ahead of you, I will always be 3 days ahead of you. So it doesn't matter where I run to. If I'm running somewhere and you're running somewhere, I'm still running 3 days ahead of you.
No.
This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, if it's... Okay, so say...
You're gonna break your brain trying to explain this.
No, like... Okay, so say today is Monday. Whatever, right? Or you're in Monday... Monday. And I'm at Friday, right? But somehow we're able to communicate with each other by phone.
Sure.
Okay.
Right. We got transportational Verizon.
And then you're like, hey, say right now you're at Monday at 6 p.m., right?
Okay, I'm with you.
And then you call me, and I'm Friday at whatever time it is.
The Friday before or the Friday after? That's very important.
The Friday before. Like, right, like there's a weekend in between, right?
So I'm ahead of you. I'm Monday.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of you. Okay, great.
And then you call me, and you're like, hey, make sure on Monday you go to the restaurant at 8 p.m., and I'm like, okay. And then you immediately head to that restaurant to get there in time at 8 p.m. Don't you think once it's at the same date, on Monday, I go...
Oh, this is like time travel paradox stuff.
And I get there at 8 p.m. Wouldn't we meet there?
I guess?
I believe it would work.
No, I don't think so.
No, it would totally work.
Okay, let's say I'm in Monday, and I went to the restaurant, and I sat down.
At 8 p.m.
Yeah. And I've called you, so this breaks my brain. Okay, let's just pretend it works, because I don't really care that much. All I know is that I'm pretty sure if I would have watched this, I would have hated it. Because I will forgive a lot of things in a drama. If you state your premise clearly, and you stay within the tone of your show, I'm on board with you. I understand that John Wick is not going to be Shakespeare, and it never wants to be, but from the first minute of it, you know exactly what it is, and it never loses sight of itself. I'm with you. This, to me, has a massive premise problem, where it keeps tweaking what it is in order to fit the narrative they're trying to tell, which maybe is my largest pet peeve, because it's just writer laziness. Because when the writer was writing, well, why is this happening? Why does this? Well, because I need it to happen, because that's how the story will come together. and it's just crutches propped up on top of walking casts, propped up on top of wheelchairs. Like, it's just a house of cards ready to fall over as soon as you start examining it. And so that's why it makes so much sense to me. What you're saying was, when you watched it, you enjoyed it because you were just kind of with the ride and you're with the chemistry and you're with the performances. But now that you're looking back, you're going, oh, wait a minute. It's kind of a train wreck. I would have hated this.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say, hey, let's watch this together.
Thank you.
I gotcha.
So now it's time to rate this thing, and I will abstain from actually rating it. I'm kind of getting a picture in my mind what I would rate it, but I won't because I haven't seen it.
Yes. I have seen it. And so it would normally, for me, I feel like it would be like onboard karaoke.
Which is like 7 out of 10?
Yeah. But because I did enjoy it and I do really like the couple, I'm going to give it in the buffet line.
Which is an 8.
Yeah.
That seems high. I was waiting because I'm like, if you say 9, I'm going to go off. There's no way this is a 9. After this conversation, I'm like, this is maybe breaking in the 5 or 6 category right now.
No, it's really hard because I did very much enjoy it, especially while I was watching it. And I really am, like, into the couple, and and since then they have this, like, little reality show of, like, the 4 main leads basically go on this camping trip together, which I have not watched yet, but I'm, like, so gonna watch it because there's so much fan service in it, which I like. I like the fan service sometimes. Sometimes not in the drama, but I do like some, like, variety show fan service.
I mean, I have been known to watch a Korean variety show from time to time, so I can understand.
Yes. So, anyway, yeah. It actually doesn't even really deserve an onboard karaoke. It should possibly be lower, but I would have put it probably onboard karaoke, but because I enjoyed the couple so much and the cast so much, that I give it in the buffet line because I'm a sucker.
Yes, you are.
Anyway. So we're going to do the rec, and it is a song that, because we are currently on multiple platforms now, we cannot play the song through Spotify, but I will recommend it. And then if you head over to my Instagram and you want to, like, get a sample of the song and how it sounds, go to my Instagram and check it out. I will be posting the recommendation on there, but also you can just look the song up, whatever streaming platform, listening platform you use, go look that up. But the song is called Before You Came Along by Luke James Schaefer. The song kind of lyrics wise, it makes me think of the couple and, like, how if, they both have a hard time until the other came into their lives. So, I recommend that. Again, that is Before You Came Along by Luke James Schaefer. And that is our episode. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much.